When Itzhak Bentov spoke of evolution, he wasn't thinking about bones, fossils, or biological adaptation. He was speaking about vibrational evolution, the gradual tuning of human consciousness to higher frequencies of awareness. To him, the story of evolution was not a climb from ape to man, but from separation to unity. It was the story of consciousness learning to perceive itself with increasing clarity through the machinery of the human body. He believed that every species, every cell, every vibration in the universe participates in a grand experiment, the universe awakening to its own existence through form. And humanity, he said, stands at a crucial threshold in that process. From survival to self-awareness in the early stages of evolution, the human system was preoccupied with survival. Consciousness was condensed, bound tightly to the physical body, focused on hunger, fear, and reproduction. Our awareness was narrow, centered on the immediate environment. But as neural complexity increased, so did the capacity for self-reflection. The brain evolved to support language, imagination, and abstract thought, tools that allowed consciousness to observe itself from within. We began to ask questions that no animal had ever asked. Who am I? What am I doing here? This was the moment consciousness began to bend inward, to see itself mirrored in the mind, the birth of self-awareness. But Bentov saw that this self-awareness, though revolutionary, also created a new kind of illusion, separation. When the observer became distinct from the observed, consciousness fragmented. Ego emerged, the sense of I standing apart from you, from nature, from the whole. It was a necessary phase in evolution, he said, the pendulum swinging outward toward individuality. But the next phase, the one we are entering now, is the return swing back toward unity, toward the realization that individuality and universality are two sides of the same oscillation. Humanity as a transitional species. Bentov proposed that human beings are transitional instruments in this cosmic process. We are not the end point of evolution, but the bridge between biological and vibrational existence, between matter and pure consciousness. He wrote that as humanity develops greater coherence, internally and collectively, our nervous systems will become capable of sustaining higher vibrational frequencies without disintegration. That means our bodies, emotions, and brains will literally reorganize to support expanded states of awareness as a normal condition, not a mystical exception. He called this the emergence of the Homo Vibrans, the vibrational human, a being whose consciousness operates beyond fear and competition, attuned instead to resonance, cooperation, and empathy. In this model, society itself mirrors the structure of consciousness. When individuals are incoherent, fragmented by conflict, greed, and fear, civilization reflects the chaos. But as individuals reach coherence, the collective field stabilizes. A coherent society is one where information, energy, and emotion flow freely, just as in a coherent human system. Bentov saw this not as utopian fantasy, but as a natural stage in the evolution of the species. Just as electrons organize into stable shells, just as atoms form molecules, human consciousness is evolving toward collective coherence, the formation of a planetary organism of awareness. The planetary brain. In his later writings, Bentov imagined humanity as the nervous system of the Earth. Each person is like a neuron, generating, transmitting, and receiving vibrational information. When enough of these neurons synchronize, when a critical mass of human beings achieve inner coherence, a new level of planetary consciousness will emerge. He compared this to the way the brain forms self-awareness. Individual neurons firing in isolation cannot perceive I. But when millions of them oscillate in unison, consciousness emerges as a unified experience. Likewise, when billions of humans begin to vibrate in emotional and mental coherence through compassion, empathy, and shared intention, the Earth itself becomes self-aware through us. Humanity becomes the vehicle through which the planet awakens. This idea was not mere poetry to Bentov. He saw it as a measurable physical process, a resonant coupling between the electromagnetic field of the human heart and the global geomagnetic field. He even suggested that large-scale coherence events, moments when millions meditate, pray, or focus collectively, could subtly alter Earth's magnetic resonance. Today, satellite data from NASA and the Global Coherence Initiative hint that he may have been right. Heart coherence and geomagnetic fluctuations are now being studied together, suggesting that consciousness and planetary systems are intertwined more deeply than we ever imagined. The spiral of evolution. Bentov often drew the universe as a spiral, not a straight line of progress, but an endless unfolding of cycles. Each turn of the spiral represents a new octave of awareness, the same principles repeating at higher frequencies. At one level, evolution created physical organisms. At the next, it created minds capable of self-reflection. Now, it is creating collective awareness, consciousness realizing itself not only in individuals, but across networks, cultures, and the planet itself. He saw modern technology, especially global communication, as the external skeleton of this new consciousness. The internet, social media, and instant communication, despite their flaws, are protoneural structures, the early architecture of the planetary brain. They allow ideas to travel at the speed of thought, connecting billions in real time, mirroring the synaptic exchanges within a living mind. But technology alone isn't the goal. Bentov warned that without coherence, these tools can amplify chaos instead of harmony. Only when human intention aligns, when heart and mind evolve together, will technology serve consciousness rather than fragment it. The next step, coherent consciousness. Bentov believed that individual spiritual practice is not an escape from society, it is a contribution to planetary evolution. Each person who attains inner coherence, whose heart and mind vibrate as one, strengthens the resonant field of humanity as a whole. Like tuning forks aligned in frequency, one coherent individual can help others synchronize simply by existing. He described this as vibrational contagion, the natural transmission of coherence through resonance. In the same way that one calm person can stabilize a room of chaos, or one genuine act of compassion can ripple through a community, consciousness spreads by vibration. As more individuals embody coherence, the collective field of humanity will reach a critical mass. At that point, Bentov predicted, a spontaneous leap in consciousness will occur, a phase transition like water turning to vapor. Humanity will awaken to its own unity not as an abstract ideal, but as a lived vibrational reality. This transition won't be sudden or mystical, it will be gradual, measurable, biological, and vibrational. We are already seeing its signs: growing interest in meditation, energy healing, frequency medicine, and the science of consciousness. The boundaries between physics, neuroscience, and spirituality are dissolving. Science is beginning to describe what mystics have long known, that the universe is a symphony of vibrations and consciousness is the conductor. Bentov's vision offers hope, not blind optimism, but a framework for understanding human destiny. He saw suffering and conflict not as failures of humanity, but as the friction that drives evolution, the resistance needed for the pendulum to swing toward harmony. Every oscillation between chaos and order refines the frequency of consciousness, pushing us closer to coherence. He believed that one day the pendulum will stabilize, not in stillness, but in dynamic equilibrium, where the oscillations of individual and collective consciousness are in perfect resonance. That will be the birth of a new kind of human, the being of light, the coherent consciousness, living as both matter and spirit, vibration and awareness, one and infinite.